So this is a super clean gaming PC with amazing price performance. And the craziest part is that you can build this for as little as $600 and it can play games at 1440p pretty comfortably. And yes, you can build this right now. I'm gonna be showing you how to and also the gaming benchmarks to prove to you that I'm not lying. So starting us off, we have our CPU and motherboard. Now before I get into the CPU, first we have to open up our motherboard, of course. This is the B550M Pro 4. This is just one of those more budget B550M boards, and it's actually pretty nice as well. I've used it a bunch of times, and it has yet to fail me. So yeah, on top of it being budget, it is also pretty clean. I do not have any all-white boards for my all-white build, but this is the closest thing I have to that, and it is perfect for our build. I got this one brand new a while back, but there's been plenty of open box deals across the years on this board specifically that usually come in brand new condition. I'd stay around the $60 to $80 mark for AM4 boards, just if you're following this build guide specifically. Next up is a bit different nowadays. We have our Ryzen 5 5600. Now this is the king of AM4 processors in my opinion. As you can see, this one came from AliExpress. That's what I'd recommend getting it from, because that is the best price you're gonna find it at, and it's a brand new processor. It just doesn't come with a cooler. And yeah, for under $100, this is still the king, unless you can find a better deal somehow. Anyways, just pop back this latch, and then lining it up corner to corner, it just slots right in pretty easily. And then not much force there, it goes right in. But yeah, this processor has just always been one of the best value for your money. Next up is not its original box, but this is the Oloy 16GB kit. It has RGB, and I've had this for over a year. I just didn't need it because it's only 16 gigs and I like just using 32. It also has RGB, so the motherboard has to have RGB software. But yeah, now is a perfect time to use it. This is a brand new kit. I'm pretty sure I just replaced it at some point. But anyway, take the second and fourth slot in, apply some pressure. Snaps in pretty nice and easily. Anyways, with RAM, do not always get the exact same kit, as it's always so random which one is the best deal. But I'd also look at AliExpress, because I found some good ones under $80, because there's coupon codes, and on top of that, there's a 14% cash back on Rakuten if you're able to make an order with AliExpress and you're comfortable with that, which I do recommend with certain sellers, and you can save a lot of money. And of course, I'll link down below what's the best ones in the current moment. But anyways, next up is a 500GB NVMe. Fun fact, if you've seen any of my older videos with combinations, a lot of AM5 bundles used to come with these free 500GB NVMe's, and I just haven't used them. By now, they're over $70 to $80, so yeah, now is a perfect time to use it for a build. Now, you don't have to get this one specifically, but there's plenty of options I've seen on eBay and AliExpress for brand new ones that are under 80 bucks. Now, this motherboard, of course, comes with a heatsink, so I'm just gonna unscrew it. And something to remember to do, just peel off the plastic. And now I'm gonna slot in the NVMe. Then just line up the screws back to where they were and then screw back in. Now, you don't always have to do this, but I'm gonna actually take out our AIO now, because if you have an air cooler, which the CPU definitely doesn't need an AIO, this is when you would install it. So here we have this Gambias Aura GL240. All I know is this was $26 before tax on Amazon, and I've seen plenty of AIO deals come by, so you're gonna be spending between $30 and $40 most likely, or you could just buy a cooler for like $20 or less. Both work perfectly fine. I just prefer the aesthetics, and it's not that much more, so here we have it. Anyways, all we're gonna be doing here is just installing our brackets. So I'm gonna put this AIO to the side until we have this installed in the case. So what we have to do first is unscrew these pre-installed brackets that every AMD motherboard comes with. All right, now it looks like we take these little screw guys, and we can just hand tighten them in. And that's about all we can really do for now, because the rest of the instructions are on the actual radiator itself. So we'll put this to the side, and now it's time to move on to the case. And here is the case. We have this Sama V50. Now, this case has been at $50 on Newegg for so long now. I swear if it's any lower when this video comes out, I'm gonna be pretty mad, but I'll make sure to have it in the description. Sama is a very nice brand. They usually have pretty affordable options, and the quality is always pretty good. So let's check it out. Yeah, it's a bit big, but I don't think that will be an issue. I will say this is very similar to one of the first computers I ever built. So let's check it out. Manual, screw box here. It's a little corner protection, it's gonna be pretty nice as well. But anyways, now all we have to do is just lay it down. We can put in our motherboard. All right, now I will say the first thing we're gonna have to do is adjust the standoffs. We do have a micro ATX board, and this is an ATX case. So we're gonna take some of these bottom standoffs and move them. So we can move to this guy right here, and then this one up. Now, I don't know why they did this, but you actually have to add some no matter what, unless you're using a really small motherboard. There we have it. All these standoffs look to be in the right spot. And this is a bit different, but we're actually gonna have to do our AIO at the same time. Now, it never really matters which one you do first. So what I'm gonna do first is just screw in the radiator. And now what we're gonna do is take the pump, peel off the plastic, and then with these brackets, we can kind of just slot it in and screw it in. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I'm probably gonna adjust the radiator a little bit to the left, but it's okay for now. Now, I'm gonna take the IO shield, applying some pressure, just snap right in. And then now, we can slot in our motherboard. Then using these screws right here, we can then screw in our motherboard. And then now, what we can do is take our thermal paste that is included in the AIO, apply a piece size amount or so. I'm definitely not doing this the most efficient way because you kind of have to lift up the screws on the bottom so then they have enough room so you can screw it on top and secure the pump. But yeah, I just found lifting one of them, screwing it in almost, and then just lifting another one on the opposite side. Makes it so that you could evenly screw these back in. It's fully screwed in now. Also, you can like move this logo so then it fits. Now, the next thing you want to do is plug in the cables before we install our power supply. So both of these are actually daisy chained together. So then we just have one fan port and one RGB port. So what I'm going to do is plug in the CPU fan right up here, then route the rest to the back. Just because the RGB there does not daisy chain, what we'll be utilizing is this one. As you can see, what you're gonna do is have the male and female port. Then we can plug in our female port, then route the other end. Then we can plug in the AIO pump into the secondary CPU slot. I'm not sure if this is for the RGB or what it's for yet, but we'll figure that one out. And I'm just gonna take this off. Now, we do have a ton of cables here, but what I'm gonna do is connect the two CPU ARGB cords right now because we actually have a hub right here. So I'll plug in the other end to the bottom connector over here. So then we'll take up two RGB ports, but that can all be adjusted in software. So they will all be connected. So I'm gonna take the F panel, put it in the bottom left here, bottom right of the motherboard. Then take HD audio, this goes in the opposite side of the motherboard. Then I'm gonna take the USB 3.0. I think it looks best if this one goes to the bottom. And then the USB Type-C. For this motherboard, it does not support it, so we're gonna use an adapter. So I'll be plugging this in through the bottom. So yeah, that's everything so far except the power. So what we're gonna do is install these cable extensions now to make it easier. And here's our power supply, the MSI Mag A650BN. Very classic power supply. I have a bunch more still, and it works perfectly. Tier C unit, seen around $50 a bunch of times. So I'm just gonna slide in fan facing down, and then we could just screw it in with these thicker screws. Now, we don't have much left to do here besides plugging in our SATA into our hub so it actually works, connecting the motherboard power, connecting our CPU power. And then now we're gonna route our PCIe down through the middle, and we'll also use a cable extension for that. And then for now, I can just stuff all the cables back here before we do any cable management. Looks like we'll need to remove the top two brackets here. And then I'm gonna pop back PCIe, and unfortunately it's gonna need two PCIes, which is fine. It's just that most of these kits come with one, and I had to steal one from another because most 3060 Ti's actually just come with one PCIe 8-pin. Our 3060 Ti, I have to go ahead and clean this up a bit more. It's a bit dirty, but we're just gonna make sure it works. And then I'm just gonna screw it in right now. Yeah, it's turned out pretty nice so far. Let me just plug it in. I will mention about the 3060 Ti is that it's a pretty good card if you're gonna pay about $210 used, which is what I did. Obviously, there's a few graphics card options around that price point. This one being a used option, which I do recommend at this price point. And usually you're gonna have to pay more for that white GPU, but this one costs the same as any other. But yeah, it's looking pretty nice. But obviously, I'm gonna have to go back and do any of the cable management and then get into the gaming benchmarks. All right, so on some Forza, we have 1440 1440p. I turned off VSync and also some motion blur. And this is using no resolution scaling. And then mainly high settings. It's just whatever it gave me pretty much. And yeah, I mean, this is obviously already plenty good. And the game looks great as well. 100 FPS on average here. And this game is a bit different because you only really need 60 FPS. And obviously you kind of just change it based on your preference. If you want some more frames or you want the game to look better. Obviously when there's more going on, it's going to drop down to about the 85-90 range, but still plenty. And just to show any resolution scanning that it might be able to do here, just turn on the default. And yeah, it can make the game look a bit sharper, but obviously the game just looks great. This computer can easily run Forza, and you can mess around with the settings whatever you want, but know you can at least run 1440p, which is already perfect considering we're using an 8GB graphics card, and obviously it doesn't really matter. It still runs very smoothly. And now we're over here on some Subnautica. We got 1440p, DLSS, balance, and then medium settings. So like an overall medium build here on that 1440p, which is gonna net you around the 80 to 85 FPS mark. That is definitely a decent mark to be at. It's a single player or multiplayer game, and you don't really need high frame rates because obviously it's not very competitive. You kind of just play the game at your own pace, and you want it to look good, and it does look good, but let's test it even farther. High settings with quality preset. I'm not restarting my game, which I think affects like one setting, so nothing really. And yeah, this is where you're really pushing the limits here. Obviously you could just lower the settings whenever you need to, but this is around 55 to 60 FPS. So it's pretty much the maximum you're gonna play it at. Probably just high settings without that quality. Probably just avoid the high settings on 1440p, but to really give you a test, running those same settings on 1080p now gives you that 20 to 25 FPS boost, and the game still looks good. Obviously, if you have a 1440p display, I obviously wouldn't recommend going to 1080p. I would just lower the 1440p settings. But yeah, it's definitely more playable with 1080p, and depending where you are, will change. Now we're over on some Marvel Rivals, NVIDIA DLSS, quality, performance, medium. There's just so many settings to change. But anyway, this game looks good enough, I guess. And obviously there's a lot of settings you can mess around with. But yeah, this is what I'm running right now, and we're getting around 120 FPS. Still in 1440p, keep that in mind. Real quick, I'm just gonna see what this thing is about, make it quality mode. But yeah, still running pretty good. I think that extra quality, you know, definitely takes performance a little bit, but so yeah, that ran pretty good, I guess, but I just want to see the real performance on this game. Definitely playable at 1440p and whatever settings you really want. Let's just enable that performance in that low settings. You can even go more low. You can go like full potato mode if you want, but yeah, this is when we're getting more competitive frame rates. So yeah, you do have to play on lower settings if you want to achieve that like real high frame rate. I'd say I wish I ran a little bit better, but I'm happy enough with this performance, I guess. All right, so now on Cyberpunk. This game is just a classic for these benchmarks. Anyways, we got 1440p, graphics are on the high preset. I just changed it to DLSS, so let's just run it, expecting playable performance. And yeah, 100 FPS, definitely plenty for this game, and obviously looks good as well at that 1440p high settings. But you know, we're running a 3060 Ti, not a very good ray tracing card, but it has it in the name. So let's try some ray tracing medium to see how we do. Yeah, I think we'll just stay off of ray tracing, especially in this game. But it's never a real benchmark if we're not testing the lowest settings. Okay, 1080p, low settings, DLSS. Here we go. Oh yeah, so I wouldn't recommend these settings, but you know, in case you want to play this game competitively somehow, here you go. Nice. All right, I decided to throw in some Arc Raiders. Here we have some 1440p. We got NVIDIA DLSS on. These are just the settings that started me on. Turn off motion blur, and then looks like high settings. The game is still loading in a little bit, but we are getting over that 100 FPS mark, which is always pretty nice. And something I never mentioned is the temperatures are pretty good. Obviously, the game's looking pretty nice, but we're gonna quickly move on to even more. We have high ray tracing on, we got epic settings on, and 1440p, and it's still running pretty playable FPS. Over 70 FPS is definitely playable in my opinion, but this is obviously more of a competitive game, so you're gonna want more frames. But if you want to just run around like me and not play the game, then you can do that. Let's go on ultra performance here. CNN, pretty fitting for fake frames, and static looks like it has the smallest performance cost, and low settings, which does take a few seconds to load obviously. But yeah, this is still 1440p, and we're getting over 120 FPS, 130. Honestly, thought we'd get more. I mean, the game still looks decent. There's obviously some settings that don't really matter, that won't really affect performance too much. But yeah, obviously, this game is very playable. Oh shoot. Oh no, I'm dying. So yeah, this game PC obviously is repeatable at this price range. $600 to $700 is around what you'll spend, depending on the prices that you can get, and also if you go used for anything else besides the GPU. And yeah, saving extra with the RAM and the SSD is also really big if you're not able to find a combo deal. Obviously, this PC does not have a combo deal, so it is very possible. And yeah, I'll have all the best links in the description for brand new parts. And then you can go on eBay, Jawa, Facebook, or Reddit, and you can find amazing used deals as well. So yeah, if you have any comments, questions, then I might address them in a short form video, but for now, this is what I got. So you should subscribe, check out the description, and stay tuned.